North Idaho College proudly presents NIC Today, an informational news magazine that highlights the people, programs, and campus life at North Idaho College and the surrounding community. And now, your host and moderator, President of North Idaho College, Dr. Joe Dunlap.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to NIC Today, the program that gives you some insight into the people and the programs that make North Idaho College happen. Today, we've got some very special guests, and first of all, we're going to be talking with our Associated Students of North Idaho College President, Christopher Deane. So welcome, Christopher.
Thank you. And
we also have our Assistant Director of Student Involvement, and that is Heather Erickson. So Heather, welcome to NIC Today. And then, as usual, we have with us Mark Browning, our Vice President for Community and Governmental Affairs, as well as Marketing. So Mark, thanks for being here again today.
Always a pleasure.
Well, first of all, Christopher, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Associated Students of North Idaho College, otherwise known as ASNIC. What does that organization do?
ASNIC is really the mouthpiece for the students. We voice the concerns of the students have. We serve on a number of committees on campus to make sure that the students are heard, and that's part of our shared governance. We have multiple projects going on. Each of our senators has its own project. They vary from physical projects to awareness for ASNIC, and we just are the voice of the students.
And so tell us a little bit more about what shared governance means in an educational institution.
Well, it's really the combination of the student voice, the faculty and staff, and the community all together voicing different opinions on different issues that are important to them and their different perspectives.
Okay. And then in addition to that, Christopher, what are your role and your responsibilities with regard not only to the students, but to the campus in general?
I have a number of different tasks that I'm assigned to. I oversee the commencement, have a number of opportunities to present. I'm presenting at the leadership scholars that are coming through here in April, and I oversee all of the projects through ASNIC.
Okay, so tell me what you do in terms of coordinating commencement activities.
We're in charge of the picture slideshow, and I'm organizing the speaker, and I'm also speaking.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to that. Graduation is always the most important event for our students and a time to celebrate with your family and friends. Well, Heather, first of all, Heather is an employee of North Idaho College, not a student. So Heather, tell us what you do as the Associate Director of Student Involvement.
So my job really is just to help the students understand their role as part of the shared governance. I help them with leadership development. I schedule retreats and all sorts of training at the beginning of the year to make sure that they really understand their role on campus. And then I get to work with them on their projects throughout the year, just kind of guiding what their initiatives are and help them communicate with the administration and the Board of Trustees and help them proofread a lot of things. All of those things that kind of help them have the skills to make sure that they're being the voice of the students.
How much of a leap is it? You know, students like to be involved. We generally find there's usually not a big shortage of students that want to be involved, but when they actually find out what they have to do and how they have to do it, how much of a leap is that to get them from one point to the next?
Well, it really depends on the student, but we see a lot of really talented and skilled students come through our program. A lot of them have had previous leadership experience, and they really just need a little bit of guidance and that shift from their previous leadership experience, whether it was in the classroom in high school or maybe even as a business owner or something, to how they relate that to their student government experience. So.
Christopher, I've got a question for you. What led to your decision to get involved in the leadership of the students here?
I had my own bunch of projects that I wanted to do as a senator to begin with, And slowly I just moved up to vice president and took over clubs and really enjoyed that, and then moved up to president. So it was really projects that I wanted to see, physical projects, rather than being president or anything like that.
So Heather, how long have you been at NIC?
This is my 6th year. This is my first year as the primary advisor for the student government, but I also advise student orientation leaders, the student events group, clubs and organizations, and volunteer programs.
And are you originally from Coeur d'Alene?
I am. I've been here for the majority of my life, and I actually sat in Christopher's role about 12 years ago, maybe not quite that long.
So you were a student here at NIC.
I was a student here, and I served as student body president.
Okay.
Yeah.
And prior to being the assistant director for student involvement, what were you doing at NIC?
My primary job was very similar, but I didn't advise the student government directly. I was secondary advisor to the student government, so my title just kind of shifted a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Christopher, where are you from?
Washington, Everett, Washington.
In Everett, Washington. Now, what brought you all the way from Everett over to Coeur d'Alene?
We moved up and down the West Coast a lot, and then came to Coeur d'Alene and just fell in love with the area, so moved over here.
Easy to do. It's not nearly, even though it's snowing, this time of year and wet, it eventually does dry out, unlike Everett. So what's next? After you kind of put the capstone on your leadership experience here at NIC, what lies next for you?
I'm going down to U of I to start business, and then hopefully, I'm hoping Gonzaga is what I'm thinking.
Very nice.
So that's my goal.
Now, when you say Gonzaga, are you talking about law school or a graduate degree in business?
Law school.
Well, that's great.
Wow, very good. So you talked about the projects and some of the physical projects that really kind of piqued your interest. What's in the hopper now for ASNIC, and what could we see come to fruition between now and the end of the academic year?
We actually have art in the sub being put up the 27th of this month. That's going to be dedicated on the 27th. It's going downstairs. We also have chess tables that should be installed this month in front of the sub. Those are really immediate ones. And we always have our rec center report coming up that we're always working on and trying to make it perfect. So that's what we're
Give us a little teaser on that. When we say rec center, those of us who have been around on campus, we've heard this for a little bit, but for those watching at home that maybe this is the first time they're going to hear that term.
Exactly, and I've looked at that. We say rec center, like everybody knows what it means, but if you really explain it, the past decade, ASNIC has been trying to influence the college to build and fund a rec center on campus. And it would be similar to a smaller version of the Croc Centers, like I try to compare it to. We feel it's really important for student involvement and student health and wellness. And we're just coming to the conclusion that we want to present more of a open-ended presentation about the rec center. More of this is the will of the students, what we've wanted for the past 10 years, rather than a detailed report.
And that report will be at the Board of Trustees in March. Very good. All right. Heather, how does that, what's due to your role? You have the students who say, well, this is what we'd like to see. Do you help them to prepare that then, to put it into a form to the trustees, or how do you navigate those waters?
I do. I help them actually, with the details as far as like practicing and writing their presentation and who to speak with and how to get on the agenda and all that kind of stuff, and how to communicate their desires. They're of the elected body of they're the elected representatives of the student body, and so it is their job to bring those desires and needs forward to the administration and the Board of Trustees. So I help them with those things, but that's just a small part of my daily job. My real job is to help develop them so that they can make those decisions on their own and know how to really take their ideas and turn them into real projects that they can really take on themselves.
Very nice.
Well, Christopher, I want to thank you for being with us today, and thank you for your leadership skills and doing all that you do for our students and for the college. And Heather, we really appreciate all you do for the college and our students as well. I mean, you provide guidance for them and leadership training and It's an important role in our student development. Now, Mark, I'm going to hand this back to you and ask you to introduce our student clip of the week.
My pleasure. Some of Christopher's fellow students here on campus in Philippe Val's graphic design program provide a story for us to share with you each and every month. And this one comes all the way from across the country in New York City. It is a clip of a mini documentary about the comings and goings in a neighborhood beauty salon. Enjoy.
My name is Henrietta Phelps. I've been coming to Wilna for a few years now to do my hair.
Very good.
She's very good with me.
My name is Lisa Benjamin, and I'm from Monticello, and I'm here getting my hair done by Colleen because I'm getting married in 3 hours.
It's a nice place. You can mark my word. She's tops. Been with her too many years now. She knows my hair. Nobody else wants to mess with it because it's too fine. It's baby hair. What the heck?
I trust Colleen 100% with everything I have, and I said to her last night, you do what you want. Do anything that you feel like doing. And she just looked at me. She goes, the pressure of it all. And she pulled through. She gave me a beautiful hairstyle for my wedding. And she did it all. A lot of curls, a lot of wax. She's good.
I love what they did with her hair. I come in looking like an old lady, go out looking pretty young. Hey, you know, there's a plus in that, you know that?
I'd like to thank Kirk Maston for that piece, a student here at North Idaho College, and Philippe Val for his program at the Workforce Training Center with the Graphic Arts program. And a couple of gentlemen with us now, Joe, one who doesn't spend a lot of time in the barber shop and one that always looks pretty sharp.
Well, that's right, Mark. Today we've got with us Al Williams, the athletic director for North Idaho College, as well as John Parsons, who's our chair or president of the North Idaho College Booster Club that supports athletics at the college. So Al, why don't you tell us first of all a little bit about yourself, your history at NIC, and what's been accomplished since you've been here.
Well, I'm a former NIC athlete. Actually played here in 1978, which seems like eons ago now.
That was eons ago, Al.
Tell me about it. Back when everybody had a big afro, so yeah, so things have changed a little bit. But I came out here from Chicago, played 1 year here, and then played at the University of Idaho, and then spent 20-some-odd years in corporate world, but came back here in 2003 as the athletic director. So this is my 10th year here as the AD, and it's good to be back home.
Well, we're certainly thrilled and pleased to have you here as the athletic director. So Al, tell us some of the accomplishments of North Idaho athletics, at least over the last 10 years.
Well, we've been on a pretty good run. It's a good time to be a Cardinal right now, and since I've been here, every team has had some kind of either regional or national success. Volleyball has finished as high as 4th in the nation. They've been back to nationals 6 times in the last 10 years. Softball finished 2nd in the nation in 2007. Right. Women's soccer's finished 3rd in the nation. In this past year alone, we've had our teams ranked 3 #1 teams in the nation with volleyball, women's basketball, and wrestling. And we're still on a run right now because wrestling just won the national championship. Women's basketball is playing as we speak in the national tournament, so hopefully we'll get another run for them as the national champion. And they were the national champion in 2011. And then volleyball finished 8th this year. Again, women's golf is also ranked in the top 20 right now. They're 12th in the nation. Men's golf is number 10 in the nation. And men's basketball has won the SWAC 3 times in the last 6 years and was top 10 all this year and finished number 10 in the nation in the latest NJCAA poll. So on a pretty good run right now.
Yeah, what a fabulous record. Well, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experiences at North Idaho College and what you do as president of the Booster Club?
main fundamental role is to obviously help the budget out for the athletic department by raising funds for locally for the athletes and scholarships and room and board, things like that the coaches need to operate their everyday funds.
And what about yourself? I understand you used to play athletics as well.
Yeah, I wrestled here at NIC between 1990 and 93, and was on a national championship team in 93. I like to reference it, but I was the last loser of the 1993 national tournament. So I made it to the finals, but was just a little short.
But it's a team effort, and
Yep.
you don't win a national championship individually. You win it as part of a team, isn't that right?
Yes, sir. And then I continued on to the University of Wyoming afterward.
And you wrestled there for the remainder of your collegiate career?
Yeah.
That's great. Now, what brought you back to Coeur d'Alene?
My wife.
They have a habit of doing that, don't they? Yeah.
They do.
Well, we're glad she did.
Yeah. No.
When you're not being president of the Booster Club, which is really a 24-hour-a-day job, what does life have for John outside of the Booster Club?
Well, I'm actually an insurance agent by
Okay.
day. That's what I call it. And then obviously we're lucky enough to have some good support from the athletic department here with Patty Stewart. She runs a lot of the operations for the Booster Club, and that really helps. And we have a board of directors that are fairly active, and everybody's really good on that as far as pulling their own weight or whatnot and stepping up to different activities that we do. That's just a great blessing to have.
How many hours are spent behind the scenes? A lot of us show up to the games and the matches, and we'll spend some hours in the stands out at Memorial Field or along the soccer pitch, and we all enjoy it, love it, have a good time, and then we go home. But there are hours, I would imagine, spent both before and after. How much time is put in by the volunteers?
Countless. I mean, we currently maintain Memorial Field so that the softball players can have a home turf, if you would, even though it's owned by the city.
Right.
And then game management faculty that unpaid, most of them. We utilize work study, most of the people don't, tab the hours of which is used to prepare for most events.
So, Al, you and I have talked a little bit about our facilities here on campus, and for those who aren't aware, our gym was built in 1949, but why don't you talk a little bit about what our needs are there, Al?
Well, we have a habit of calling our facilities classic or historic, which is a very nice way of saying that they're old. And it's amazing that we can do as well as we've done with the facilities that we have. Our softball field is owned by the city. Memorial Field has been here for at least as long as our basketball field has been here. It has a nice charm to it, but it's definitely outdated. But like you mentioned, our basketball facility is built well over 60 years ago, and our court isn't quite regulation, only seats about 1,500 and has obstructive view seating, and it needs a lot to be desired, but it's home to us right now, but we would need a much better facility to really upgrade our program, what really is deserving for a program that's been nationally ranked for women's basketball and men's basketball and wrestling and volleyball. To have that kind of success, it would be nice to have a much nice facility so that our fans could get down here and not have to worry about parking, and we could have much better seating and accommodate handicap facilities in our facilities as far as seating. And also our locker rooms need to be improved. It'd be nice to have our weight room within our building. So there are a lot of needs that we have not addressed right now, but we've made do, but we'll be on the call to have that be replaced.
Well, and at the last Board of Trustees meeting, they authorized an exploratory committee to take a look at developing an event center that would be the home of the Cardinals, house our sporting events, be a practice area, but much more than that, it would be the opportunity for the community to have a facility that could bring in other events that we might not otherwise be able to. The largest venue in Coeur d'Alene is Boswell Hall, which is located on the campus of NIC, and that seats about 1,178 people. And beyond that, the community is pretty limited in terms of a venue for different types of events. So we'll put together that exploratory committee and see where that takes us.
Well, we've missed out on so many opportunities to host events because we don't have a large enough venue, and we're going to be hosting the 2014 NJCAA Wrestling Championships, and because we don't have a large enough facility here, we have to take it over to the convention center. That's where we hosted in 2012, and we're bringing it back again. We tried to get a bid to host volleyball, but we didn't get a chance to get it awarded because of the size of that venue. So I think if we got one here, it'd be a multiple-use facility that we desperately need, and people would realize how much that we have been missing over the past years by not having something this size.
It seems like every time I go to the airport to head somewhere, whether it's to Boise for the legislature or some other place, I see dance teams and elite travel soccer teams and AAU basketball, and you know, there's every weekend there's some team from North Idaho, just in the general 5-county area, headed somewhere. Yeah. And I think about all the events that might take place here in North Idaho and have those hotel rooms and those meals and those gas cards and Suburbans being filled up here in Kootenai County rather than heading somewhere else. And it makes me think this is an idea worth exploring.
We talk about gymnastics, high school state tournaments, national championships for our level, but there's so many venues that get brought to my attention that we just can't accommodate. And like you mentioned, it'd be such an economic impact for our area if we could bring that home to us. And it's well beyond that time when we should have had this done.
John, can you explain a little bit about the different types of events that the Booster Club sponsors to raise funding for the athletic teams?
Let's see. We've, besides annual auctions and dinner events, we've ran the beer garden for the Kootenai County Fairgrounds for the past, I think it's 25 years that we've actually ran those events. That unfortunately has come into a halt for us, so that's no longer on our agenda anymore. So that's a hit we're going to take this year financially, but hopefully we find some other options to explore. Those are, and then our signage that we get inside the gym, you know, that's a major source of funding, and we're the sponsors and halftime hospitality room and whatnot. You know, there's great opportunity for another facility if it was, I mean, take a facility like the McCarthy Center, you know, that you might have 4,000 or 5,000 seat capacity, and you got the skybox options, things like that have great opportunity for sponsorship and whatnot. We've often said about the sports venue and a facility in this area, you know, once it's done, I think the biggest comment coming out of everybody's mouth is like, why didn't we do this 20 years ago? And it's just way long overdue. You know, and a price tag of $20 million, that's kind of the preliminary numbers that are out there. You know, it's a bargain for what it's going to have impact-wise on North Idaho.
Now, one other fundraising event that I think you did for the first time last year was sponsor the Beer and Wine Garden at the Art on the Green, which is a very large event in Coeur d'Alene. It's been going on for, I think, 44 years. And so I think I saw you and Al there being the purveyor of spirits. And so good job on those fundraising efforts.
We do try to become creative in those. We've had golf tournaments. We host 2 of those every year. We hold the 3-on-3 annual basketball tournament, which brings about 10,000 people to our area because we'll have about 300 teams that'll be in there. And we're holding a comedy festival next week, March 28th. We're doing that here at Boswell Auditorium. And then for the first time, we did a cupcake decorating contest this past year as well.
That's
too.
right.
So we've had all kind of venues to try to bring people here to the campus, but just trying to be creative and having some different events to bring people in here. And the Booster Club's been tremendous in providing that kind of support to make that happen.
So, Al, what do you do in your spare time?
Try to get a little bit of sleep. If I'm not attending my own fundraisers, I'm doing something around town with the different boards around here. But it's fun to be active because it's such a great supportive community. We're lucky to have this kind of support, not just for our fundraisers, but for attendance at our athletic events as well.
I'll tell you, from a community perspective, it is just great to have teams that not only is it a great product to come and watch, But the young men and women that participate are great ambassadors for the college, and they're great ambassadors for our community. We hear stories that when our teams travel, wherever they go, that they're such great representatives of not only North Idaho College, but of Kootenai County and Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho areas. So hats off to you, Al, and to you, John, for your support. It's great for our community, and it's always a good experience when we bring our friends in to have them come take advantage of a game or a match here.
Well, listen, I'd like to thank the both of you for being here today. John Parsons, president of the North Idaho Booster Club. Al Williams, who is our athletic director and has been here for 10 years, but was an athlete at NIC. Well, and John was as well. And then I'd also like to thank Christopher Deane, who was on the program earlier and is president of the Associated Students of North Idaho College, as well as Heather Erickson, who's our associate director for student involvement. And Mark, as usual, thank you for being here. I appreciate your efforts and helping with the conversations, and you always bring a great perspective with a good sense of humor to the program.
Thank you.
You bet. Now, folks, I'd like to thank you for tuning in on Channel 19. We do this once a month, and we hope you'll tune in again to see what's happening at North Idaho College on NIC Today. Have a great day, and we're looking forward to spring.